Hello class, lesson 8-5 in your book is all about learning how to factor any polynomial of the form x squared plus bx equal to c. And to do that we need to start back with something that we know. We knew how to solve a polynomial that looked like x plus 3 times x plus 4, where it was two groupings. And we could actually work this out by using FOIL. X times x is x squared. O is the outside, plus 4x, inside, plus 3x, and then the last ones, plus 3 times 4. Okay, and I'm going to group these in such a way that we'll talk about in just a second. So, x squared plus, I really have 4 plus 3 x's plus 3 times 4 together. And you'll see in just a moment why I'm grouping them. Now we know that this again would be, in the end, x squared plus 7x plus 12. So again, in the end, it's of the form x squared plus bx, a number times x, plus c, another number. All right? And so this is actually going to help me by realizing how I could factor anything of this form by realizing that this middle number is really adding the two numbers that I have right here, the 3 and the 4, and this end number is really multiplying those two numbers. And that's how I can turn something like this, x squared plus 7x plus 12, into something like I had in the beginning. That's what we're going to do. We're going to work backwards so that in the end it looks back like in parentheses x plus 3 times parentheses x plus 4. So it might be a little confusing, but I'm going to really help you out. So again, let's start with x squared plus bx plus c. So this is our rule, that if you have a polynomial that looks like this, it's going to be equal to, in the end, x plus some number, we're going to call it p, times x plus some other number, we're going to call it q. All right? And this b, like I said up here, the 7 was really the sum of the 3 and the 4. So if I have a p and a q, it's really p plus q. That's really what our b is. And the c, like up above, the 12 I got from 3 times 4. So by multiplying those two numbers, p times q. And this rule is really going to help you out in this whole section. So let's do an example with numbers, and this time we are going to go backwards. So what I want you to do is I want you to factor with me x squared plus 11x plus 18. All right? And to do this, to get it to look like something up here, x plus 3 times x plus 4, what I need to do is figure out the factors of this end constant. So in this case, it's 18. So let's list out the factors of 18. So factors of 18. All right? I can multiply 1 times 18, and that will give me 18. I can also multiply 2 times 9. That would give me 18. And I can also multiply 3 times 6. All of those would give me a product of 18. Well, then after that, I'm going to look for the sum of those factors. Okay, so that means I'm going to look for, what is 1 plus 18? Oh, that's equal to 19. And is that what I have in the middle? Nope, I want to look for 11 as their sum. How about 2 plus 9? 2 plus 9? Yep, that is 11. And we could just go one step further. 3 plus 6, that equals 9. So wouldn't it be 1 and 18, and it would not be 3 and 6. So to factor this out, it's going to be very simple. With those factors that worked for multiplying to get the 18 and adding to get the 11, I'm simply going to use x plus 2 times x plus 9. And I am done. I have factored this out. And we could check it. We could do FOIL with this, and we would come back to x squared plus 11x plus 18. All right? Why don't we try one more example like this? I have a little bit of room over here on the side. So why don't we factor t squared plus 9t plus 14. So again, I'm going to look at what my c is. In this case, it's 14, and that's what I want to find the factor of. So let's find all the different factors of 14. And then afterwards, we're going to find the sum of those factors. So I could think of 1 and 14. I can think of 2 and 7. And you know what? That's all that I can think of. So let's add those up. 1 plus 14 is equal to 15. That's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for 9. But then I can see that 2 plus 7 does equal 9. So I have found my factors. So to write it out and factor it out, it would be t plus 2 times t plus 7. And I have successfully factored out t squared plus 19 plus 14. But sadly, they're not always going to look this easy, all right? I've gone ahead and I've made a chart for you guys so that we can kind of look at all the different possibilities that we might end up with for any of our polynomials, okay? You might end up multiplying two positive numbers on the inside. You might multiply where the first one has a positive number and the second one has a negative number. A third variation is when the first one has a negative number and the second one has a positive number, where the positive is bigger than the first one. And then you might have another variation where they're both negative numbers. And so if I was going to work these out, I would get, for the first one, x squared plus 5x plus 6. Okay? And I can look right here at the b, and I have positive 5. So the sign of b is going to be positive. Then I can look at the sign of c. Oh, and that is positive as well. So what this is telling me is that when both b and c are positive, I can look back. Well, guess what? The p and the q were both positive as well. Okay, this is really going to help you out, all right? Because you're really only going to start with this. So if you can see that both the b and the c are positive, then we know that the p and the q, the numbers we're looking for, will also be positive. If I worked out the second one, I would have x squared minus x minus 6. So in this case, the b is negative. It's a negative 1. And the c is also a negative. All right? I'm going to look at the third one as well. All right, if I work this out, I'm going to get x squared plus x minus 6. And this time the b is a positive. It's positive 1, and the c is a negative. So what I want you to notice, though, is that both of these have a negative c. Do you see that there? They both have a negative c. And one of them had a positive and one had a negative for their p and q. So that's going to tell you that if you see that the c is negative, that the p and the q will have opposite signs. They will have different signs. Okay? And now for my last one, I'm multiplying two negative numbers. So when I do that, I'm going to get x squared minus 5x plus 6. So this time the b is a negative, it's negative 5, and the c is a positive. All right, so unlike the first one, where it was also a positive for c, this time, because the b is negative, this is going to tell me that both the p and the q will be negative numbers. That's the type of numbers you're going to find when you factor it out. So let's use this chart when we're actually solving some problems right now. Okay? So first we're going to factor n squared minus 6n plus 8. So let's look at what type of numbers we have. We have a negative number for our b, so it could be either the second row or the fourth row, but then we have a positive number. So that aligns with this bottom row, which is telling me I'm going to look for p's and q's that are both negative. So like I did before, I'm going to find all of the factors of positive 8. But I'm only going to list negative numbers. And then I'm going to find the sum of those factors. Okay, so the factors of 8 would be, let's see here, negative 1 and negative 8. That would, when I multiply them, give me a positive 8. Also, negative 2 and negative 4. That would also give me a positive 8. So let's add those together. Negative 1 plus negative 4, or plus negative 8, I'm sorry, is equal to negative 9. But negative 2 plus negative 4 equals negative 6. And that's what I'm looking for my b in negative 6. So I have found that if I was going to factor this out, it would be n minus 2 times n minus 4. I would use those factors to fill in, and I'm done. Let's do one more like this. Let's say y squared plus 2y minus 15. Let's look at our chart up above. My b is a positive, so it's either line 1 or line 3, but the c is a negative, so this is correlating with our third line in our chart. Okay, so let's find the factors. This means that they're going to be different signs. I want to find factors of negative 15. And then afterwards, I want to find the sum. Okay, so the factors of negative 15, let's see, I could have positive 1 and negative 15, or I could have negative 1 and positive 15. Okay, those are easy. I could also have positive 3 and negative 5, or I could have negative 3 and positive 5. Okay, so I found my factors. Now let's find the sum of those. 1 plus negative 15 is equal to negative 14. Or negative 1 plus positive 15 is equal to positive 14, neither of which are positive 2. That's what I'm looking for. So how about 3 plus negative 5? It's getting closer. That's negative 2. So my last one, negative 3 plus positive 5, does equal 2. So I found my factors to put in. So it's going to look like y minus 3 times y plus 5. And I'm done. So use this chart up above. It's really going to help you out with any of these problems.